Marcus Hill never believed in ghost stories. He believed in paychecks. And night shifts paid more. The warehouse sat alone outside of Columbus, Ohio, surrounded by empty fields and a highway that stayed quiet after midnight. Marcus worked security there from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. His job was simple: sit in a small office, watch security monitors, and log any unusual activity. Most nights, nothing happened. Until Thursday. It started at 2:17 a.m. Marcus noticed a flicker on camera 12. Camera 12 covered storage corridor C, a narrow aisle stacked floor to ceiling with sealed shipping crates. The lights in that corridor were motion activated. They only turned on if someone walked through. The corridor lights were on. Marcus leaned closer. No one was scheduled to be there. He rewound the footage. At 2:14 a.m., the lights were off. At 2:15 a.m., they flicked on. But no one entered the frame. No shadow. No movement. Nothing. Just empty corridor, fully lit. Marcus frowned. Probably a sensor glitch. He grabbed his flashlight and radio. Protocol required physical inspection. The warehouse air felt colder than usual. His boots echoed across the concrete floor as he walked toward Corridor C. The place always had a hum: refrigeration units, distant ventilation, electricity running through old wiring. Tonight, it sounded different. Quieter. Like the building was listening. He reached the corridor entrance. The lights were on. Marcus stepped inside. "Warehouse security," he called out. His voice bounced back at him, hollow and thin. He checked behind crates. Nothing. He scanned upward. Nothing. Then he noticed something strange. At the very end of the corridor, one crate was pulled slightly out of line. Just a few inches. Marcus walked toward it slowly. Each step felt heavier. He told himself it was nothing. Maybe a forklift operator had been careless earlier. He reached the crate. Placed his hand on the wood. It was ice cold. Colder than the surrounding air. His radio crackled suddenly. He jumped. Static. Then a voice. "Marcus." He froze. That wasn't Dispatch. Dispatch never used first names. "Hello," he answered. Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Close. Right through the radio speaker. Marcus pulled it away from his ear. "Who is this?" No response. Just breathing. Then, a soft tapping sound. From inside the crate. Marcus stepped back. The tapping came again. 3 slow knocks. He stared at the crate. The shipping manifest label said the contents were industrial ball bearings. Nothing living. Nothing that could knock. He swallowed hard. Then the crate shifted. From the inside. Marcus stumbled backward. The radio dropped from his hand. It hit the concrete floor and cracked. The breathing stopped. The warehouse lights flickered. All of them. At once. Then went out. Complete darkness. Marcus switched on his flashlight. The beam cut through darkness in a thin white line. He aimed it at the crate. It was still. Completely still. He stepped closer. His heart pounded so loud it felt like it echoed. Then the flashlight beam moved slightly upward. And froze. There was a hand. Resting on top of the crate. Long fingers. Skin stretched too tight. Too pale. Marcus couldn't breathe. The hand slowly tightened its grip on the wood. Then another hand appeared. Pulling something upward. A face rose into view. But it wasn't fully human. Its eyes were too wide. No blinking. Its mouth hung slightly open. Like it forgot how to close it. It stared directly at Marcus. And smiled. Marcus screamed. He dropped the flashlight. Darkness swallowed everything again. He heard movement. Fast. Scraping across concrete. Not walking. Crawling. Toward him. He turned and ran. The corridor felt longer now. Endless. The exit sign seemed farther away than before. Behind him. Crawling sounds. Closer. Faster. Then. Right beside his ear. A whisper. "You weren't supposed to see." Marcus burst back into the security office and slammed the door. He locked it. Checked the monitors. Every camera was static. Except one. Camera 12. He leaned toward the screen. The corridor was empty. No crate moved. No creature. Nothing. Then he noticed something else. There was someone standing in the security office. On the monitor. Behind his chair. Marcus slowly turned around. The room was empty. He turned back to the screen. The figure was still there. Tall, thin, head tilted, standing directly behind him. Smiling. The office door handle began to rattle. Slowly, deliberately. Marcus stared at the monitor. The figure leaned closer to the camera. Its mouth moved. The audio speakers turned on by themselves. And the voice came through clearly. Night shift is permanent. Suddenly, every monitor turned black. The office lights exploded in sparks. The room plunged into darkness again. Marcus felt cold breath on his neck. A hand touched his shoulder. Ice cold. And then, everything went silent. The next morning, day shift arrived. They found the security office empty. Marcus's keys were on the desk. His radio was cracked on the floor. Camera 12 footage was missing between 2:14 a.m. and 3:03 a.m. Police searched the warehouse. No sign of forced entry. No sign of Marcus. Just one thing. On top of the crate in Corridor C, there were 5 long scratch marks. And fresh fingerprints. Pressed into the wood. Facing outward. Like something had climbed out. Marcus Hill was never seen again. The company shut down the warehouse 2 months later. Official cause: electrical instability. Unofficial rumor among truck drivers and locals: Camera 12 still turns on at 2:15 a.m., even though the building has no power. And sometimes, you can see someone sitting in the security chair, watching. 2 weeks after Marcus disappeared, the warehouse reopened. Corporate blamed wiring failures and outdated surveillance equipment. They replaced every camera, every cable, every breaker panel. Except Camera 12. They couldn't. Every time technicians removed it, the system glitched. Screens went black. Hard drives corrupted. The camera would somehow reappear in the system directory, active and streaming. So they left it, and hired a new night guard. His name was Daniel Reyes, 34, former Marine. Didn't scare easy. He laughed when the day supervisor mentioned Marcus. Guy probably quit, Daniel said. People vanish all the time. The supervisor didn't laugh. He didn't quit, she replied quietly. He clocked in. He never clocked out. Daniel shrugged it off. Night shifts were easy money. At 1:58 a.m., everything was normal. At 2:14 a.m., Daniel poured himself coffee. At 2:15 a.m., Camera 12 turned on. He frowned. That corridor was scheduled for blackout mode after renovations. There shouldn't have been power running there. But the monitor clearly showed Corridor C. Lights on. Empty. Daniel zoomed in digitally. The image sharpened. Crates aligned perfectly. Concrete floor clean. Then the camera angle shifted. Slowly. As if someone was adjusting it. But Camera 12 wasn't motorized. The view lowered toward the far end of the corridor. Toward the crate. The same crate. Daniel didn't know it was the same one. But the wood had 5 deep scratch marks across the top. He leaned closer. The scratches looked fresh. New. The office temperature dropped suddenly. Daniel rubbed his arms. The air conditioning wasn't on. His breath fogged faintly. That wasn't possible in late August. Then the radio on his desk turned on. Without him touching it. Static. Then breathing. Daniel didn't flinch. Identify yourself, he said calmly. Silence. Then, a whisper. You replaced him. Daniel stood up. Very funny. Show yourself. The whisper came again. Closer. Permanent. Camera 12 flickered. Something moved at the end of the corridor. Daniel froze. A shape crawled into frame. Low to the ground. Limbs bending wrong. Too many joints. It dragged itself toward the camera slowly. Daniel's jaw tightened. He grabbed his flashlight and unholstered his service weapon. Protocol didn't cover this. But he was trained for threats. He stepped into the hallway outside the office. The warehouse was silent. Too silent. He approached Corridor C. The lights were off now. Only darkness waited inside. Camera 12 feed still showed the creature crawling forward. But the real corridor in front of him looked empty. 2 different realities. Daniel stepped inside. Flashlight beam steady. No creature. No movement. He reached the crate. Ran his hand across the scratches. They were deep. Recently carved. Then, his radio crackled. From behind him. But he had clipped it to his vest. Slowly, he looked down. The radio wasn't there. The radio voice came from the darkness ahead. Daniel. He didn't tell anyone his first name tonight. The flashlight flickered, and in that brief stutter of light, something stood inches from him, face to face. Its eyes were wide, unblinking, mouth hanging slightly open. The same smile Marcus saw. Daniel fired. The gunshot echoed violently. Lights exploded overhead. Darkness swallowed the corridor again. Silence. Then something impossible happened. The security office speakers turned on. From deep within the warehouse, Daniel heard his own voice, saying, "Identify yourself." The recording repeated, looping, over and over. Daniel backed away, heart pounding now. The voice changed. It wasn't his anymore. It was Marcus's. "You replaced me." The creature's whisper layered over it. Permanent. Suddenly, every light in the building turned on. Blinding white. Daniel shielded his eyes. When he lowered his hand, the corridor was full. Not with crates. With monitors. Hundreds of them. All showing camera 12. Each monitor showed a different night guard. Sitting alone. Watching. Some crying. Some screaming. Some completely still. And on one screen, Marcus. Staring straight ahead. Blinking slowly. Alive. Daniel staggered backward. The floor beneath him felt soft. Not concrete. It felt like carpet. Office carpet. He looked down. He wasn't in the corridor anymore. He was sitting in the security chair, facing the monitors. Camera 12 glowing on screen. He tried to stand. He couldn't. His body wouldn't respond. On the main screen, the camera angle slowly shifted. Now it showed the office. Showed him. Sitting there. Frozen. Behind him, the pale figure stood. Smiling. The office door opened. Another man walked in. Younger. Nervous. Holding paperwork. "Hi, I'm the new night guard," the man said. Daniel tried to scream. No sound came out. The pale figure leaned closer to Daniel's ear and whispered, "Night shift is permanent." The screen flickered. Camera 12 timestamp reset. 2:14 a.m. 2:15 a.m. Lights on. Empty corridor. Waiting. Official report. Daniel Reyes resigned after one shift. No forwarding address. No contact. Warehouse permanently closed 3 months later. But locals say, if you drive past the old building at exactly 2:15 a.m., one window glows faint blue. And inside, someone is always watching the monitors, waiting for the next replacement. If you're watching this after midnight, check the room behind you. Now, if nothing's there, good. But just in case, turn on notifications so you never miss the next terrifying true story. And comment permanent if you made it to the end.